So welcome back to episode 3 of Focus Behind the Cloud. Today I'm joined by Simon Hill, a veteran of our team. He's been with us for about 3.5 years. So welcome, Simon. How's it going?
Very well, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you here after Joel and Matteo's
Well, I couldn't let Joel
conversation.
top me, could I? So I had to get in the chair.
That's it. Absolutely. So today I want to touch on joining Focus Cloud 3.5 years ago. What's changed, how things are going, your very kind of, I think, particular approach to recruitment and, you know, how you do things.
Yeah, okay. Well, joining Focus Cloud was a strange one. I'd worked for my previous recruitment company for about 14 years. Then we parted ways, and I knew I still wanted to get into recruitment. And funny enough, this was the first company I interviewed at.
Okay.
And it was the first company out of about 6 that I interviewed at. So bear in mind, I've been helping people get interviews for years. But interviewing yourself after 14 years is quite daunting. So I'd built a relationship with a candidate in a previous, in my previous job, who was a IT trainer.
Right.
And just before I left, I saw that he was the only person I had on my LinkedIn at the time who had any skills with Workday.
So did you know that Focus Cloud was a Workday recruitment company before you started looking, or was that just kind of a bit of chance?
It was chance. It was a complete chance. And I phoned the guy who I had a good relationship with, and I said, "Look, can you help me? I know I've worked with you in the past. We've had a couple of powwows and things like that." And I said, "Look, what's this Workday thing?" And to be fair, I didn't really listen very well because I didn't know what I was talking about when I came in. But I interviewed with Focus Cloud, and I remember, and that was when we were back in our Crawley office. I interviewed with Lloyd, Wallid, Nick, and Lloyd. I remember distinctly in the interview, Lloyd said, "I'm going to close you on this today."
Okay.
And I wouldn't let him. I said it's going to take you a while. It's my first interview. I want to have a look around.
Yeah.
And I think that upset him a little bit. But a month later, I joined.
Okay. So did you go to all the other 6 interviews?
Yeah, I did actually. I actually got offered 4.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Now,
leads you on to the next question then. So why Focus Cloud? Off of all 6 or all 4 that you got offered, I mean, Focus Cloud must have done something right.
They actually did, yeah. I mean, one of them was quite a big corporate agency.
Okay.
That I just didn't have the right flavour for me. But there was another one, a bit too small.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one that it literally launched money at me in the interview.
Right.
Fired money at me. But it just didn't feel as real as this.
Yeah.
Lloyd was phoning me every week, how the other interviews gone, and so on and so forth. And it just had a better feel.
Tenacious as ever.
Pest,
Lloyd.
basically.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, when you joined us, we were a team of a very small team at that point, wasn't it? What were we, like 10, if that?
10 or 12.
12,
maybe.
something like that. So obviously, you joined before even Joel. So, for anyone listening, Mike will probably join us. He joined at the same time as Simon, but they joined before Joel and Matteo and everyone else. So, you know, you're as close to a day one after me and Mark that you can probably get. And Nick, obviously, you probably get, I think.
Yeah, it has definitely changed. It has definitely changed, Focus Cloud. It's when I joined, obviously both Mike and I worked at the same company previously, and we knew recruitment. Between the two of us, we had about 20 years recruitment experience. And we joined, we met Nick, and came into the team, and he told us a bit about Workday, kinda, and then said, these are our systems.
Yeah.
Here's your phone.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah.
And it was. I remember phoning people. I distinctly remember phoning people and saying, "Look, hi, I'm Simon. I'm calling from Focus Cloud. I've just started here, and we're a Workday recruitment company, and I know nothing about Workday.
Yeah.
But tell me what you do, and my company knows about Workday, and I'll tell them what you do, and they'll help you find a job.
We'll figure it out.
And that was then, and then you kind of look at now where we've got training academies.
That's it.
And we're growing all the time. We've got online learning. We've got access to all these tools, and I kind of look around, and now I haven't actually thought about this in a long time. Actually, that office in Crawley compared to our office in London and what we're doing now, and the office in Brighton here, it is literally like chalk and cheese.
I mean, yeah, you joined us. How many office moves have we done since?
How many what? Sorry,
office moves. About 3, 4.
Well,
so you joined. You helped me move in.
Do you know, this is how cheeky it was, right? I hadn't even joined. I hadn't even started, and he wrote me into building desks and chairs for an office I hadn't even paid to
when
work
it's
in.
when you're a startup, it doesn't matter. You just got to get it done, right? It doesn't get from the marketing guy. Oh dear. Yeah, no, it was good, and obviously our first kind of instances was you helping me move into a new office. So thank you for that. Obviously, you've been on a bit of a journey here. Now you manage a team. You are a team manager for the UK team.
Yep. For
the Workday brand. How's that gone? How's that been? Obviously, now you're building your teams out, and
it's always a challenge, kind of stepping into roles like that. But one thing that I'm trying to kind of pass down the line. I mean, I remember when I first joined in the team, and within 3 months I became a team leader, and I remember that conversation with Lloyd when it was like, look, you've got a good ethos. I need someone in between the management team and the team to look after the team. Do you want to do it? Because we need you to do it. And it was kind of like, yeah, okay. Didn't know what we're supposed to do. But then
you don't give yourself enough credit.
Well, you know me, mate. I ad-lib a lot. But watching, I mean, I've had people in the team. I've got someone at the moment who I've seen really change the way they've been working.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I really like doing is getting into a process of how do you actually work?
Sure.
What is working for you? And then there's a thing that you'll hear if you ever get into recruitment, which is back to basics, which is so true. Every time you just strip it back to working a process and working it diligently and properly, you see the growth in people when they really commit to that end to end. Don't think about the end result. What you're doing now, make sure you're on point, make sure you're building the right relationships. Listen, you know, you've got two ears, one mouth. Use them first.
That old adage.
And watching people go through this journey it's been really, really good. And you can see people upskilling every day. Even just the phrases they use and the terminology they use with candidates, you can see them growing from I'm brand new to recruitment to I'm kind of getting it, and now I do understand it. Oh look, I've actually found a really good candidate here, and knowing that they have. And what I'm trying to bring to the team is I'm trying to give them the tools they need to know that they're doing it right, and to also know when they're doing it wrong, so they can do something about it.
Okay. Oh, great. So with that being said, obviously you're building your team out. What kind of person are you looking for in your team? You know.
In my team, I guess recruitment is a sales job, right? It is a sales job, but it's a unique sales job. I don't know any other product line or service line where your product or service talks back. Okay, and this is the thing. I mean, recruitment, yes, you have to have that sales mentality because ultimately you're there to kind of make the placements and things like that. But it cannot be transactional. It can't be. You're going to have hard graft, and you have to have hard graft. But the minute you make this transactional, you're going to lose. And the reason you're going to lose is because it's never a one size fits all.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have a call, like a recruitment call. Every single one of them it should be different. You know, I mean, I think of recruitment a lot like dating on these apps, which FYI, I'm a real technophobe. I don't know how to do anything. But these things, it's like there's two people who are on a blind date. Someone's looking for something, someone else is looking for something. We don't know anything in between there, right? So this is the person one who's the candidate. That candidate is looking for something.
Right.
And most people think people are looking for more money or, you know, progression and things like that, but they're not. A lot of the time they're looking for, you know, work-life balance. It might be a culture thing. It might be a specific goal they're trying to achieve in their career that they can't where they are.
Yeah.
They might want to be managed a certain style and things like this. Now, so that's them. There's a company over here who's looking for a specific person with a specific set of skills, who's got a specific personality, who they want to take on a certain journey. Now, there's only one person who gets each job. So you've got to find that job that matches each other. It is like blind date, right? Problem is, a lot of the time it doesn't match 100%.
True.
But then it's a case of, really coaching both the customer and the candidate to make sure that those interests align enough so they can almost hold hands together and walk forward, filling in the gaps for each other where they don't have. Because I've worked in recruitment for almost 20 years. I've never found a perfect candidate for a job. Never. There's always a reason you could say no.
Oh yeah,
there's
absolutely.
always
Yeah,
a reason you could say no. And again, take it back to dating. You could be sitting around having dinner with anybody. You can find a reason if you want to. Oh, the hair's not done the right way, or whatever it might be. You can find a reason if you want to.
I'm sure you could.
But it's about getting it right enough so that people look for reasons to say yes as opposed to no. And it's a unique skill set, and it's one that once you do it in your job, you kind of do it all the time.
Okay.
Finding a way to bridge that gap between a maybe to a yes just in life.
So, bringing that back round, who do you want on your team?
Who do I want in my team? People who can do what I just said.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
Just help bridge those gaps, help be a coach, help motivate.
Not be transactional, right?
Not be transactional. I want people. We want people. You have to care about people to be successful in this industry.
Oh, 100%. I think you can see that from a lot of the guys that are successful in the business, that a lot of what they do is more than just a numbers game. There's more to it than that. Going on that, obviously relationships and it being transactional now, you have quite a reputation in the business for being a relationship builder, I think. Maybe going a bit above and beyond in places. Now, I've heard some stories, but I'd like you to fill me in a few of the gaps.
Okay. I think I know the one you're referring to.
Go on, I'll let you go.
Okay. I built a relationship over time with someone I actually never placed. And he was working on this project. And he was a really, really solid Workday payroll guy. And there was a candidate that everyone from our business was trying to get hold of.
Right.
Because she looked awesome. She would not pick up the phone to anybody at all. Not one person. I phoned this guy and said, look, do you know this person? Yes. Can you ask her, please, to pick up the phone?
Right.
I felt kind of like she might have had maybe a bad experience with agencies previously and was just paying me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Or paying us off, or everybody off a little bit.
Yeah.
In the end, managed to reach out to her. Long story short, we went through a process with her, myself and my colleague Mark, and we placed her. Now, it turns out that she actually had recently moved to the town that I live in.
Okay.
So, Mark and I met up with her for a beer to say congratulations. Ended up being a bit of a messy night. Had a few cocktails,
Celebrate, right?
A few giggles.
Yeah.
And long story short, she started this role. A couple of months later, Mike and I were sitting down in our office, and we got the strangest phone call like ever. What do you know about radiators? And I was like, well, they're hot and they're stuck to the wall. And, where is this going? She's kind of like, look, can you guys help me? My dog has just pulled my radiator off of the wall.
Amazing.
And in the middle of the day, Mark and I went round to the house.
So was it like a Tuesday afternoon? Or?
Yeah, just middle of the working day. We were like, right, look, we're going to have to go and sort this out, aren't we? And radiator's back on the wall. Dog was suitably chided, and it was. But that's the whole thing. Relationships. Yeah. It's not a business relationship, and it shouldn't be. We've got candidates who phone us about personal stuff.
Yeah.
There's everyone has these things that come up in their working lives. We do, that affect our lives. Our candidates are no different.
Yeah.
And you've got to be willing and able and ready to take those phone calls. But that's what leads to having a really good long-term business relationship as well, because these people will recommend you to everyone else.
I think it goes to show that you're doing something right. If someone picks up the phone to you and talks to you about their radiator coming off the wall or whatever it's got to be, it just shows that it's not a transactional kind of thing. So they wouldn't pick up the phone to you if they thought it was a purely transactional kind of relationship, would they? They wouldn't think, oh, he's not going to help me with the radiator.
No, I mean, this is just it. I mean, the gentleman who coached me about Workday, who you know who he is, he's done podcasts with us. He's a massive advocate for us. In the ecosystem, he tells us about programs of work that are going on. He recommends us because we're us. Not because we're a good recruitment company. He recommends us because we're us. And
he knows quite a lot of us quite well now, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been out with him a couple of times. He's a really nice guy. And I think it goes to show just how big relationships are in the business in Focus Cloud.
And the thing is, if you can look, I had a customer recently who was asking me for a certain set of technical skills that, to be honest, on the budget that they had, was going to be really difficult to find them.
Right.
But they also were looking for a specific kind of person. Now, my advice was, you can teach the technical skills, but can you teach a person to be a person?
Yep.
No. Why don't we find you someone with all the personal aptitudes that you're looking for, who has the capability, through you testing them on their capability, to pick this up.
Right.
Now, I've had nothing but fantastic feedback about these candidates.
Yep.
And I've had nothing but fantastic feedback about the customer from these candidates. Because it wasn't a case of, can you do this? Yes, come in. We want you to click this button, press that, wiggle that mouse about. We want you to be this type of person that we can grow and we can invest in. And that goes the same way for a recruiter with its candidates. You know, you can see a candidate grow over the period of working with them. I mean, my second ever placement here, I've now placed 3 times. In the one time I didn't place her, I coached her through her negotiation on where her role was going to go, and it turned out it wasn't the right move for her. We were on the phone for ages. It was nothing to do with money for the company. It was a case of, look, we know this person. This person trusts us. You know, I want to help this person. Not I'm obliged to help this person. Not paying a fee for it. It's like, I'm interested in you today because tomorrow there will come a time when I really do need you. And I want to be able to help you so that when I call you and say, look, can you help us? It's not a case of give and take, but we actually want to do this for our candidates. They want to do it for us. And that makes the whole difference to your recruitment career. And I have seen it the other way around. I have seen it when people have made it very transactional. They only phone people about when they want something, or they've got a candidate to sell in, things like that. And that will work so far. Yeah. But it won't work long term. It's completely and utterly a relationship business, guys and girls. It really is. I cannot stress that enough. If you're big on helping people and coming up with a solution, which isn't always obvious, this is a great industry to be a part of because you're doing that all the time.
So just rewinding a little bit there, so just on the Workday market and all that kind of stuff. So obviously you were talking to the client about the kind of person they needed, right? So that's like, there's education to be had on the client side.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, how many times do you go shopping not really knowing what you want to buy, right? You might think you know what you want to buy, but you don't always know, and customers don't always know exactly what they want because, if you're going to go out and buy, I don't know, you're going to buy a new car or a new phone.
Yeah.
You might not know all the features of that phone. You might think it looks wicked, but it doesn't actually work for what you want them to do. And what they asked for wasn't really achievable within the parameters of their budget. But what was achievable, they had this image of someone they wanted to grow and someone they wanted to mould and train. And it's like, right, well, this actually takes it to a different level now. Yeah. Because if you're willing to overlook the immediate technical needs that you have, but you're willing to find the person with all those aptitudes who really wants that job. So a better way to kind of put it was, who would you rather hire? Someone who can do the job, and they can do it now, but it's kind of the same as what they're doing. Or would you rather hire someone who has never had the opportunity to do that because no one's given them that opportunity? But if you give them that opportunity, they'll go 150%. That's the better person to hire long term, because they'll stay. They'll appreciate the opportunity. They'll chuck themselves fully at it and make sure they win and that you win. And this customer saw that. Now, that can be rare, and I think there's probably more customers out there who could learn from situations like that, because they've got 2 long-term hires who are going to grow with their business, who are going to be loyal to their business because of what they've been given.
Yeah.
And it's all of these little things, and none of this is about work. This is all people.
Yeah.
All people want loyalty. You know, they want the opportunity to grow. They want the opportunity to progress in any kind of relationship, whether it's friends, whether it's partners, whatever. Everyone wants progression. And this is why this is a relationship business. You've got to think about tomorrow, today. That's a good line, that is.
There you go, yeah. We'll use that as a clip. That's fine. You know, going a little bit over a few specific areas just there, you talk about kind of recruitment kind of often being too transactional and things like that. But one thing I think the industry might be guilty of is, I think most people probably agree, is it does have a high turnover rate in terms of people joining the industry and then leaving quite quickly after that.
Yep.
Obviously, now you're kind of starting to build your team and all that kind of stuff. You know, why do you think that might be?
It's a mixture of things. It is the company's responsibility as well. I mean, you know, one of the things that I do when people come for an interview with me is I try to tell them all the bad parts of recruitment. You know, it is
scare them off.
Yeah, being honest, scare them off. It is long hours. It is hard work. You know, if in your first month of recruitment, in my opinion, if you don't go home at some point thinking, what the hell did I get myself into?
Yeah,
you're probably doing it wrong.
Okay.
Right? There's also I think if you're thinking about getting into this industry, you have to be very, very honest with yourself. Okay, are you actually prepared to do what it is you're telling your interviewer you're prepared to do? Are you actually prepared to work out of hours? You know, is there a reason you're doing this job? And one of the things I would say to anyone at all trying to get into this industry, if you're looking to make a lot of money for your beer tokens at the weekend, there are easier jobs to do than this.
Sure.
Okay. If you're going to get into a recruitment job, you should really have a goal. You should have a goal. You might not know what that goal is, but you should have one somewhere, even if it's a firm or whatever it is. You need to have some kind of idea of why you're doing this, some kind of goal in sight. And it could be a holiday. Yeah. It could be buying a new car. It could be putting a deposit in the house. Because this is one of those industries that there's a really weird karma in recruitment. I have known people to graft and graft and graft and have the worst week ever.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, just out of thin air, an interview comes in or a new client pops up, something like that. Because the recruitment god, so to speak, will pay you back for your hard work. I've also I've also known people to do the opposite, to get really lucky.
Yeah.
Do very little, get very, very lucky, and think, well, this is a doddle. And then suddenly they feel the burn of recruitment where things don't happen.
Yeah.
And
it's like beginner's luck kicks in at the beginning, and
then they can't deal.
2 months later, they're like, "What's happened?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And one thing I would say to anyone who's looking to get into this industry is, look, be prepared for some hard work. Recruitment can sometimes be 99% perspiration and 1% celebration, but those 1% are worth it. You know, you work really hard. You're a coach to these candidates. You're a coach to these customers. You're there on the sidelines all the time. And then 1 minute, someone gets the job and you have your Jerry Maguire moment. And that is what recruitment's about. You have to work really hard. And do you know what? It's a funny one because that movie it kind of is what recruitment's like sometimes. You know, you're working so hard for that one placement, but that when it comes in, all that hard work is worth it.
Yeah.
You know, the farmer doesn't see their harvest till the end of the season, right? So it's one of those things that
It's good analogy.
plant a lot of seeds and you get a better harvest, and that
You're just pumping them out today.
mate. You know what I'm like. I'm a walking thesaurus.
No, it's just like talking to you on the phone. All the different analogies and different things you come out with on the phone just crack me up.
I don't know where they come from.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Listen, yeah. If anyone listens to this, just wants to spend 5 minutes listening to Simon on the phone, then I think
It'll probably be longer
very
than 5 minutes.
it will be very entertaining, to say the least. So with that being said, you talk about people being oversold, you know, when they join a recruitment company, or kind of maybe overselling what they want to do or what they think they can achieve or what they're willing to achieve, you know, telling the interviewer everything they want to hear. I think a lot of it kind of comes down to, I think, like you said earlier, kind of an alignment between people, but also, like, you know, core values has got to be top of the list. And obviously we have 5 core values here that we talk about regularly. How do they sit with you? You haven't got to go through all of them. I mean, that might take us a while, but
look, it doesn't take long.
Okay.
and it's worth doing. Look, we've got 5 core values: 24/7 knowledge, results, human, and honour.
Yep.
Okay. Now the 24/7 thing is one of those things that, you know what, doesn't mean you have to work every hour that God sends. It just means if there's something you've got to do, if you're not doing it, there's another recruiter somewhere who is. Right?
yeah, that's exactly it. I think
that's what it means.
so often, I try and tell people this, you know, when they join the company or whatever. I think it goes through. It might fall on deaf ears at some point, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, a relentless kind of killer instinct to work yourself to death.
No, and
it's just a realism that someone else might be working.
Exactly. There is a realism that someone else, your competition, might be working. And you know, look,
if you're prepared to give it up.
Since we've started at Focus Lab, the company has changed. You know, we've got flexible Fridays, we've got loads more time that we have, and, you know, we do promote downtime. You have to have downtime, right? But if something occurs, you've also got to be willing to pick up that phone, and it might be a weekend when your customer phones you, just like, can we book something in on Monday because I need to run through this, and you know, be available.
Yeah,
you know, you'd be available if your mate called you. Be available if your clients or candidates call you, and that's the relationship you should be trying to garner. But the other 2 is something that we will obviously give. You know, you have to be a sponge. Now, for anyone watching this, I am genuinely the worst person with technology ever, and it's not a joke. I'm awful with everything tech, and I don't know loads about tech, and Workday I'm still getting my head around after 3.5 years. But as long as you listen, you'll get that knowledge, so you know how it all fits together. Build your knowledge, and we, with our method, will help you get the results.
Yep.
Okay. Now, the knowledge and results we'll give you, but there are 2 things that at Focus Cloud you have to bring with you. If you don't bring these, we're not the right company for you. The human piece, like I've been saying the whole time, we're not a transactional business. You cannot treat it that way. Our clients, our candidates, and internally as well. You know, we're all people. We all have our own issues.
Yeah.
We're here to be heard. We're here to be helped. And that's internally and externally. And you have to be a human being. You know, if you're a robot, this isn't the right industry for you at all. And the honour piece is probably, for us, I think, I don't know, I mean, you've been here longer than me, but it's one of the biggest ones. You know, it is a case of, if you say you're going to do something, if you say you're going to get a profile to a client in 24 hours, you do it. You just do it. You know, it's one of those things. And the whole company won't know whether you said that, right? You'll be on the phone with a client and you'll be saying, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. But if you said it, you do it. And it's a personal pride thing. It's a personal pride thing. I wouldn't want to let my customer down by not delivering what I said I would deliver. And it's one of the reasons why recruitment companies, a lot of them get a bad rap, because they do promise the world. And this is from an employee perspective as well. a recruitment company sometimes will promise you the world. They'll talk about their on-target earnings, discussing the biggest biller they've ever had in the world. And that might not be what you know.
Yeah.
And that's not what you're going to make in your first year. But if you work hard in your first year at recruitment, you can certainly double your salary. And then year 2, it's shoot for the moon, you might hit one of the stars kind of thing.
Yeah.
But those core values stand us in really good stead. And I think the interesting thing for me is when I joined Focus Cloud, we were still building those. I remember being in the meeting, we were discussing our core values.
Yeah.
What are they? And I know there are a few that were kiboshed.
Yeah, there were lots of keywords thrown about.
There's a lot of keywords thrown about, but these are the fundamentals of our company.
Yeah.
And, Focus Cloud is now part of the Focus Group. We've got a number of different brands, and they all operate the same way.
Yeah.
And I think everyone operates the same way. And one thing I will say about Focus Cloud is we are a very open company. Okay, you can see what everybody is doing. I could log in and see what Lloyd has done today, if I wanted to.
Yeah,
and you can do that from day one. So it's not a case of you can sit in the corner and hopefully kind of coast. Everyone's kind of got that drive and determination to be better.
Yeah.
And for someone joining, if anyone wants to join Focus Cloud, one of the things that I found really, really, really attractive about Focus Cloud is from day one, you can actually be the best at something. And what I kind of mean by that, I remember when Mike and I joined, I looked at the board and I saw all the yearly figures, and I was like, well, I can't win that. I've just started. I looked at the CVs out today. I was like, I can't win that. I've only just started. But then I looked at the board that had our phone time on it, and I thought, I can make more phone calls than anyone in the building today.
Very old school.
And I can win today, day one. And me and Mike had competitions every day. Who can outphone each?
It's a bit like back to basics, though, isn't it?
But it is back to basics. Look, you should want to win, right? In Focus Cloud, what we try to do is every conversation you have should have some kind of victory in it. Whether that's a new relationship, whether that's a placement, whether that's a candidate out, whether it's a referral to a company who might need your help, whether it's some market information, we want people to be coming off of the phone with something. And it's a really, really good mantra to have. If you come off the phone with nothing else except I've just built a really good relationship with a candidate that I can call again another day, that's a win.
Still a win, yeah.
This is what I mean about 99% perspiration, 1% celebration. You become greedy for the 1%, and the 1% are then not 1%. It's 10% of the time. You're winning 10% of the time, not 1% of the time, and that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If you learn to celebrate the little wins, because they're all part of the bigger win. The placement only happens after you've done all these little things. The candidate's then happy.
Yep.
The client's then happy. You're happy. But there's so many different wins on that journey. And this is what I urge anyone getting into the industry to look forward to. Those little milestone wins that are part of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's what makes the job enjoyable. If all you're here to do is make a placement, and that's it, that's the only thing that floats your boat, you can still be really good at recruiting, but it's not going to be as much fun.
Yeah, and that's, I think, you touched on there. Fun is
You've got to have fun with it.
You do. I think that comes from learning, firstly.
Oh, 100%.
You've got to learn. As soon as you've got the understanding and you get the processes in place, you start learning, you start to have fun on the calls, you can start building those relationships that actually mean something.
Well, of course, it's like anything. If you're baking a cake, you don't start with the icing, do you?
And another one.
You've got to do it from the ground up. And if you concentrate on what you're doing, that'll be a solid foundation. Then you get your layers in, icing goes on the top, and then you put the little cherry on top, and it's done.
There you go. There you have it.
I don't know where these sayings come from, by the way. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry.
No, it's all good. It's brilliant. Now, you touched on a few things, about kind of working at Focus Cloud, core values, all that kind of stuff, and it's great. Just moving on now. So to obviously something that's quite new, and we've touched on it with Joel and with Matteo, Flexi Fridays. Now, obviously, everyone is entitled to their Flexi Fridays if they've done their job in the week and all that kind of stuff. And what does it look like to you as Simon Hill without? Make sure you've done your work and you're on target, and you're not going to be working on that Flexi Friday. How do you spend that extra day off every 2 weeks?
I'm probably a bad person to ask, okay? Because I've actually only really taken 3, maybe.
It's all right.
Because typically everything happens on a Friday, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that to be honest, I'll go and do my thing. But if there's a phone call to make or something I've got to do, I'll do that as well. So an example is last week I had a number of meetings booked in, like Teams meetings during the day. So I done stuff in between those. But to be honest, for me it's kind of, it's a weird one. You know whether you're on it or not. You know whether you're on it.
Yeah.
You know, if there's stuff that's got to be done, and funny enough, Joel and I were talking about this just today over a coffee. Sometimes you take your Flexi Friday more when you haven't had the best week. When you haven't had the best week, you're like, and Joel and I would encourage that. It's like, do you know what? You've tried really hard this week. You've really ground it out. Do you know what? Take a few extra hours today.
That's the thing. If the work ethic's there and the basics are there,
100%.
fundamentally you're like, okay, well, they just haven't hit the mark. Especially if it's a new person, right? A new person in the business. Last thing you want to do, if they've really been trying, sweating it out all day, and they've got that bit of anxiety because they're a bit like, I haven't really done it. Am I going to get this Flexi Friday? And maybe,
we had it just the other week.
You're going to ruin them.
Yeah, we had it the other week. I got asked, and it's like, do you know what? You've absolutely grinded out a shift this week. Enjoy today. If there's anything you got to do, forward it to me. I'll do it. Right? But the weird thing is, the busier you are, and the more successful you're doing, kind of the less you take it. I mean, I remember just a few weeks ago, my week was going bananas. I had clients calling me left, right, and centre, and I genuinely had planned to come to meet my mates in the pub. And I didn't, because it was a case of, right, this email's come through, I've got to deal with that, And in the end, I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to take it today.
It's a tough one. I think it's a really, really tricky one, especially for the industry as a whole. You're looking at all these different businesses, and whether it's in recruitment or I think I saw an article about PwC and Alan Sugar was calling them out for being lazy on a Friday,
today,
right?
Yeah.
Now, it's a really tough spot to be in because you've got all these different companies trying to make moves and be more kind of attractive to new candidates and new recruits, right? But sometimes it doesn't work.
Look, we've all been... Anyone who's had a career at some point has got to the end of their week and they think, I can't believe I've got to do this again next week, right? If that extra few hours is going to get our guys and girls refreshed and make them enjoy a bit of a longer break where they can get their head right and be in the game, I'm all for it. At the end of the day, everyone here is accountable for their own desk, and everyone here knows that too. And
treating like an adult is right as well, right?
Like
It's not micromanagement.
But it's really weird. I've taken Flexi Fridays more when I haven't had the best week.
Yeah.
But because when you're having a good week,
momentum.
Your momentum's rolling. You don't want to come to a stop, right? Sometimes when you're pushing the car uphill, you need to take a little bit of a break. Going downhill, you just can't stop it. So you
and another one.
you just keep going. And the funny thing is, you'll know when that's happening.
Yeah.
You'll know when that's happening. and you know what? I think it's a great initiative. And I have to say, for me, it's really helped me. There's been times when just when there's stuff you've got to do that you haven't got around to.
Yeah.
And you can spend a bit of time, and it's like, do you know what? I've got to get that bloody washing machine fixed.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done all week.
Just do some life admin.
Just life admin, basically. So I think it's a really good thing, and I think we've seen the benefits of it. I think we'll continue to see the benefits of it. I think it will give people a lot more. Mental stability is probably the wrong word, but that buffer of, do you know what? I can get through this week, but it also makes you work quite hard, a lot harder, because it's like, if you know you've only got 4 days, if you want that extra day, it means you're fitting 5 days work into 4 sometimes, which means you're being more efficient, more effective, harder on the phone, you're pushing more, building more relationships. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I do think it's a good thing. It just it all comes down to just being treated like an adult, I think, a little 100%. Bit, and having a little bit of accountability for yourself. Have respect for your own desk, your own career.
It is a very accountable job, recruitment. if in the best or worst recruitment companies, it's an accountable job.
It's like you say, if you're not doing the basics, it's there for everyone to see, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
you talk about deals, but then it comes down to CVs out, interviews, call times, all that kind of stuff, and it works its way down, right?
yep.
But if it's not working, it's quite obvious to see. But if someone is genuinely trying to work hard, then, like you said, maybe they just do need that.
And the big thing
few
is,
hours.
Ask if something's not working, right? Do not let it get to the point where you're being told it's not working. If you're struggling with something, and that's recruitment has a lot of big egos in it, a lot of big egos. You've got to ask for help. If you need help, if you're struggling to break through a certain barrier with candidates and it's repetitive, you need to tell someone about it. There's a wealth of knowledge in our room. Everyone does things differently, and if there's a objection that you just can't overcome, don't just ask me. Ask Mike, ask Joel, ask everybody in the team. We're dealing with multiple different people all the time, right? What might work with 5 of your candidates might not work with another 15 of your candidates. So you want your box of tricks to be full of every article you can think of. That when you need it, it's somewhere in the locker that you pull it out. Because you will come up against things. I still come up against things that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
After 20 years, there's things that companies do that I've never heard before. There's things that people say in interviews or ask in interviews that I've never heard before. It happens all the time. So you've always never think that you know it all, because I can promise you don't. I can promise you don't. And the best recruiter in the world does not know it all. They can always learn something else.
Yeah.
If you've got that mentality to learn and to earn, you can do that here. And there's another one.
We are whizzing through it. I think time will run out shortly. So let's just crack on to a bit more of the light-hearted stuff. So what I try and do is kind of talk to everyone who's going to be on the podcast, just kind of get a few little snippets about them, just relaxed a bit more. So 2 things you couldn't live without. So 1 bit of tech, 1 that's not a bit of tech. So like Matteo did, I think he did a book. Joel, I think it was one with his phone. I can't remember what the other one was, but go on.
A bit of tech.
A bit of tech you can't live without.
Okay, well, I'll answer that for you because realistically, that's nothing.
Right.
But I'll say my Alexa, right? Except she's become a bit cantankerous of late. And when I ask her to play a playlist, she tells me the time in Romania or how to spell pterodactyl. So I'm going to say my stereo.
Okay. Old school. You can tell it what to do and it just does it.
Yeah, it just obeys my commands every time.
That's it. And one that's not a bit of tech.
Okay, right. I might get some flack for this, and I get it a lot of work anyway. I would describe myself a bit as a geezer, but I describe myself as a geezer to other people, but in fact, I'm a geek disguised as a geezer.
Yeah.
So for me, it would be my D&D stuff, and if you don't know, you can ask.
Dungeons and Dragons for those listening. To be fair, just on that, we find it fascinating in the office. They've always got questions for you.
It's not always questions I get.
Burger King and McDonald's.
I'm going to have to give it to the Mackie D's, but that's only because of their breakfast menu.
Fair shout.
Sometimes after a heavy night out, a sausage and egg muffins, all that will work.
So if we're not at work, you're not working at all, what are you doing?
You know the answer to this question. I'm probably in the pub.
Okay.
I'm probably in the pub or cooking. I do like cooking.
Yeah, a good cook.
I'm pretty passionate about cooking, but the pub or the kitchen, one of the two.
No, fair enough. And okay, if you're cooking, what's your signature dish?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. There are actually too many.
Okay.
But there are. I don't know.
Okay.
I've got way too many. I can't even answer.
Pineapple on pizza?
No way.
Okay. Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
Okay. That's it. Nice one. Fair enough. So, on that note, I just want to say thank you for joining us. But obviously, this is not the first video we've been in together. This is...
No, it's not.
What is it, number 2 or 3?
3.
Yeah, this is the 3rd one. And there'll probably be more. I think we're doing some more video filming tomorrow. You lucky chap. But if you haven't done so already, head over to the careers page or head over to the Focus Cloud LinkedIn pages, and you'll see Pictionary with me and Simon, Mr. and Mrs., where you get to find out how much me and Simon really know about each other. And obviously that wasn't all the questions on there. If you do go and watch it, and then there'll be some more on the way soon. So thank you very much for listening. This has been Focus Behind the Cloud, episode 3.
Thanks a bunch.